everybody. Welcome to Next Tech. I'm Tim.
And I'm Nick.
Welcome. We're now, oh, look, I'm in the wonderful world of Minecraft over here by my farm. Nick, where are you?
I believe this is Minecraft Dungeons. It's something they just released recently here. So
it looks warm down there.
It's nice. It's very cozy.
And we do have like today's episode. We're right in the midst still of all of our remote learning fun. If you're watching the video version of this, you can see that we have some special guests that are apparently hanging out in San Francisco in front of the Golden Gate Bridge. We got Mario and Alberto, the eTwinz. How's it going?
Hey, hi everyone, how are you doing? Here in San Francisco, kind of cold out here, but you know, having fun.
Yeah, probably a little warmer than Utah, right?
It's warmer than Utah, and you know, the flights are not really expensive right now, so we took advantage of it.
You're the only people on the plane too, right?
We were the only ones, including the pilot, so yes.
Very cool, very cool. So I guess welcome to our show, and we just were talking a little bit before we started recording, but you guys obviously are in the midst of all this like we are, and your governor just told you that you are now out for the rest of the year, correct?
Yep, we are. The governor just announced like an hour ago or so that we are out for the rest of the school year. So this is our new normal for the next like 6 weeks. So. Everyone was shocked. We was such a surprise. You know, like
it really sounds like it. Okay, so I guess maybe like when you think back to when this all started, how was everybody kind of like? What was the feeling in your building when you guys had to start with the remote learning plan?
It was crazy, you know, because well, it's been hard for our district and for our school. So it was a Friday, and we had a meeting. And remember that? Yeah. So it was 1:30, and we had a meeting. You know, because principals had a meeting the day before with all of the district people and all of that. So our principal called us to the library, and she was explaining to us like, don't worry, because we're not going to be out. You know, like we're gonna be, we're gonna keep teaching. We're gonna keep teaching. The students are gonna keep coming to the school and all of that. Friday, right? 1:30. So at 4:30, the governor announced that all of the schools were going to be closed, you know, until May 1st. So we were like, what is going on? You know, like 3 hours ago, you told us like we were going to do like a normal life, you know, like, and now governor said, you know, like school is out for the rest, until May 1st. So we were shocked, and you know, like everyone was calling each other, and it's like, what is going on? And it was very, very confusing. So it was a kind of a really long weekend for us. We put together in those 2 days like a plan for the school, and we kind of did some training Monday and Tuesday to prepare the teachers for this like remote learning, 2 full days training. And I think that it was a relief for them. You know, those teachers that had a little bit of anxiety maybe for this situation, I think that they walk out from those 2 days kind of with more like ideas and experience and like, and even like excitement, right? It was very cool because, you know, like some teachers just came to us and say, hey, thank you so much, because, you know, I was so stressed and I was like, didn't know what to do. And after this, you know, like I feel better. So, I mean, we were happy. It was worth it. The amount of hours we put in.
So basically, you guys put together something in a matter of like 3 days, and then you were full on head full of steam going right into the remote learning plan.
Yeah, that was what we did. But so we are a Microsoft Showcase school. So we have the devices, we have the tools, we have pretty much everything. And as I see it, I think our transition has been easier because we had those tools to provide students, families, and teachers for this transition to be easy. So I think like part of it was that like when we did the trainings, like we created like 6 different scenarios, you know, with like 5-6 different like tools, you know, different tools like, I don't know, Teams and OneNote, and then Wakelet and Flipgrid, so different tools. And we trained our the teachers in those tools, you know, so each teacher could pick which one he or she wanted to use, you know? So it wasn't mandatory, something like, all right, you've got to use Microsoft Teams and Microsoft OneNote for everything you do. Instead of that, we said, all right, you have these 5-6 tools, 5-6 scenarios.
Like pick the one that works the best for you.
Or fits your skills the most, you know, like just pick the one that you think you're gonna be more comfy with, and
also like based on the needs of students and kind of the profile of this families and everything.
So we have, for example, like lower grades, like they're using Wakelet the most. You know, they do like a weekly Wakelet with all of the activities, and they send that home. And then we have other, like I would say, like 3rd, 4th grade, kind of that doing Nearpod. You know, they send like a weekly Nearpod as well with different activities. So, and we do mostly like you say Teams and OneNote.
Yeah, upper grades we do kind of like weekly goals for them. We teach the live lessons and we record the meeting, and then just Teams assignments link with OneNote. That integration, it's all we do. So.
Very cool. You got a question, Nick?
Well, I was going to say, so, you know, the tools and everything, having all of that in place, did you find that it was easy for the parents to kind of come on board with all of that, or was that like another professional development component in addition to that?
So do you like come on board, you mean like with all the technology issues, or like?
Yeah, like, so as the parents are picking up, like, so to speak, like the torch to help their kids get into their online learning, was it easy for them in terms of already having all these devices and everything, or was that more complex because it was a different scenario at home?
So we thought it was going to be easy, you know. We thought, all right, we are doing this, you know, like one of our mistakes, I think, is that we didn't realize like how hard it was sometimes for other students, you know, because we've been using these tools the whole year, right? But when we were at the school, they were like, hey, it doesn't work, I don't know why, and you just did it. Okay, it's because of this, whatever, right? Like if you think about it, how many times students told you like this doesn't work, or I don't know how to do this, or you know, like I can't write in the OneNote. Well, you are in the content library, you know, like stuff.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah,
stuff like that, right? Like, and you kind of like you fix those problems, I don't know, 20 times per day, something like that, and you didn't realize about that. But now they are at home. So every time they have a problem like that, a teeny tiny problem, and they don't know how to solve it, they call you. They video call you, you know, they send you an email and all of that. So we got 1,000 emails, you know, like with teeny tiny problems, but that was maybe because we didn't teach those students how to solve those problems by themselves. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think that's a lot of like problem solving is just not one of, I don't know why sometimes, but like when you think about a lot of the stuff that you run into when you come into stuff like that, like it should be a relatively easy problem to fix if they just think about it and they take a second and kind of reevaluate what they're doing. But I don't know where that goes sometimes. And I know maybe parents compound that a little bit too, because they're not used to it. And then, you know, if they can't fix it, then they don't know what to do. So then the kid kind of flips. I don't know. But yeah, we get a lot of questions that were like, I think if you really just kind of like really thought about that, you could probably come up with a solution. But
yeah,
a lot of troubleshooting.
Yeah, like can you see the button up there says turn in? So that's for turning in assignments, right?
What?
Like,
we don't have that problem.
It's like, you're not gonna believe this, but it is actually for that, you know, like.
I know, I love it when it says viewed and you're like, that's great, you looked at the assignment, now you actually have to turn this in.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. And this conversation we had it like last year, and this is why we created this model for personalized learning and to spark self-management skills, because we found out that our students, they struggle making decisions or like solving problems. And we truly think that it is because they are used to other person doing it for them. If we think about our students' routine, they go home, they have their parents to solve their problems. They go to school, they have their teacher to solve their problems. They go to football practice, they have their coach, who is telling them what to do every single moment, right? If they are, when they play video games nowadays, right? It is not when we were younger, than we used to go out to the street and play together and, take just a couple things and make a game out of like nothing, right? So they are just playing video games, and the video game as well, the machine, the game, the platform is telling them what to do every single moment. So they are not
YouTube videos too.
Yeah. So I think that's part of the problem, right? They are not used to making those decisions. So like solve the problems they have. So.
Yeah, and going back about your question about the parents, and I think that it's like those little problems that they don't know how to solve. They tell to the parents, hey, I don't know how to do it. Parents try to do it and they can't either. So like their frustration levels keeps growing, and then like they send you that email like nothing is working. Like all right, you know what I mean? Like let's fix this.
Oh
together.
yeah, yep.
So
yeah.
I feel like parents have been very supportive. To be honest, very very supportive with us in general. Like they've been amazing, but I can get those kind of frustration moments that they have, so they send you that email like it doesn't make any sense. I don't know that. Well, doesn't for you, but
I think it gives them too easy of an excuse to just be like, well, I can't do this, and that's what the message the kid gets out of it, and so then they just decide not to do whatever assignment is that they're supposed to be working on.
Yeah, I agree. It's been used sometimes as an excuse, right? To not like my technology is not working, and I'm going to play video games. Well, wait.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, even with me having my 4 kids, that's one of the things I get is, and that's my wheelhouse, technology, right? So when they're like, this isn't working, I'm just going to call for them like, whoa. That's not how this works. Let me see it. Oh, I see what you did. Here you go. It's almost like the 21st century oppositional defiance is, it doesn't work, I'm out.
Yeah.
So we always tell them like, right now, like nowadays, you have no excuse to do it. Like do it on paper, send me a picture. Like by email, like you have thousands of ways to solve that, right? Like it doesn't work, I couldn't do it. It's not an excuse
anymore.
You have different ways to reach out to me, or
exactly.
to send me your work.
Totally.
Well, and it's amazing how quickly they forget like stuff that you do in class, and then all of a sudden, just because they're in a different environment, then it's like, oh, what? I don't know how to do this, and you're like, really? Like, come on now, like let's be real here, because I feel like some teachers that maybe haven't used like Teams or whatever in our school as much, that they get a little bit of an excuse like, oh, we didn't know how to turn it into you, and then they're doing the thing, which I guess it's okay to email if you can't, but like you don't know, like I know other teachers use this, like you can't be telling me that you just all of a sudden don't know how to do this for this one teacher, because I'm like, that's not fair to her who's teaching. She teaches Spanish for the entire school, and I'm like, you should make her chase around an assignment for you in her email and Teams and this and that, and I'm like, that's not fair to her, like turn it in where it goes.
Yeah, I agree. Like this, like I don't know how to do it. Well, we start doing this like September 1st, so it's been like like 8 months doing this, right? Like you should know how to do it.
Exactly. So you guys mentioned personalized learning, and just so the audience knows, we were planning on having you guys on our show before all this fun stuff happened, and we were going to reference and kind of talk a little bit about, because you guys use your little individualized plan in your classroom, and maybe we'll put a link to your article that you had on the education.microsoft.com website, right? That was was that what it was? It was on the blog. And you guys kind of talked about what you do in there, but like as far as personalized learning goes, how did that transition, or was that a nice smooth transition to this remote learning because of what you've been doing in the classroom? And maybe you can kind of give a little more background about what you do specifically for that.
Yeah, sure. Like I think that has been really not easy, but easier for us to transition to remote learning because of the model that we put together like a couple of years ago. So the point is like, you want to explain it really fast?
Yeah,
and that way,
so
okay.
What we do is like we create playlists for the students. So at the beginning of the year, we gave to them like 30 minutes per week. You know, in those 30 minutes, we created like a playlist for them, you know, and they need to pick what activities they wanted to do, right? I mean, activities like related with each other. For example, let's say read an article about a specific topic. Instead of that, you know, like you watch a video, you know, like what fits the, you know, like your
learning style better. And
yeah.
So we do that like from 30 minutes to 45 minutes every day, right?
At
so
the beginning
at the beginning of the year, and we have increased the time that we are doing it right now. So the point is like we gave them a playlist and also a planner, and they need to organize their time and their activities. So they choose how they want to learn, and they choose when they want to learn and how much time they are going to use in each activity. For example, they decided to do science and learn about electricity, okay? So one person can be doing like watching a video, and other person can be like doing a different thing that fits their learning style better. And also they need to organize their time, as I said. So let's say one of them decided to do electricity Tuesday from 9 to 9:30, and other one decided to do from Tuesday from 9 to 9:30 math, right? So also they need to be aware of how difficult the content is for them, because I'm really good at math, but Mario, for example, he's not a big fan of math, right? So maybe
at least you didn't say you were good at math.
And it's not an example, it's the truth,
it's
right?
Yeah.
So for him it will take longer to complete.
Not sixth grade math, you know, but
it will take longer for him to complete the math assignment than for me. So maybe, but let's say I struggle in science too, right? So maybe it will take for me 20 minutes to complete the math and then 40 minutes to complete the science. And Mario is really good at science, so it will take for him 15 minutes to complete the science and an hour and a half to complete the math, right? Yeah. So in that way, like they organize their own learning, their own schedule, how they want to learn, how they want to organize their time, how they want to organize their activities.
And the good thing about it is like we can modify, we can change those playlists. You know, like, all right, you need to work on math facts, you know, you need to work on multiplication. So I'm changing you this math for your activity that you need to do. So you are individualizing those activities for them as well. So it's not just they pick what activities to do, is that we can distribute those activities to specific students, you know, based on their needs.
So every student gets a different playlist based on their needs and where they are at in math or in science. So we have like a gifted student that he really likes science and he wants to go faster. So we have all the activities and we distribute the activities to him. And also like we create enrichment activities. And while that student is doing those enrichment activities, other student can be doing math because he struggles with that. You know, like it is personalized for each of them. Also, we set up weekly goals. Every student like needs to write like weekly goals that they will review the following week.
So like, to explain it even better, like let's say our students get to the school on Monday, right? And they have in their OneNote a schedule, you know,
like a planner,
with all of the activities in their playlist, you know. So first thing in the morning, they need to create their schedule for the week. They need to write
which activities are they doing,
they're doing, and all of that, and they need to write weekly goals. Okay, and on Friday morning, they review all of that. They review the weekly goals, they review the activities. If they haven't finished something, they will have to do it the next week and all of that. So they are in charge of weekly goals and review them and like a self-evaluation and all of that as well.
So that's what we were doing before the remote learning. And this kind of, we gave students the power to drive their own learning. So we were trying to kind of like put them in the center of the learning and giving them more kind of like freedom to choose how they want to learn. So also like I think that also give them kind of leadership skills, because they were the ones who decided how they want to do things, and that worked pretty well. So in this transition, they were used to organize their time, organize their work, and all those things that we were like trying to do in the classroom. So for them and for us has been easier.
Yeah, yeah. All of the tools that we used were like online tools, like OneNote, Teams, Flipgrid. We use BrainPop a lot as well, for those videos and activities and all of that. So that transition hasn't been that hard because of that, because the same tools that they were using at the school, they are using it right now at home. The only thing is that, so like with this change, I don't know what happened in their mind, but like some of them just forgot everything, about what we were doing, like I don't know what happened, but it's.
But we're still doing this personalized and individualized learning. We still are trying to keep doing it. And so we ask them for weekly goals. Still, we ask them to organize their time and their learning. We keep doing this, and it is really funny to see their weekly goals now and compare them with the ones that they had back in the classroom.
I remember the first week because we have like a kindness goal, right? To be kind. And one of my students wrote like have 5 with 3 people during the week. I was like, yeah, you've got to be kidding me. Like, you didn't write that. So I told them that I told him like, I don't want to express what I'm feeling right now, but this is pathetic.
Yeah, I think that.
So see that evolution from like September to what they are doing right now, it's great. It's amazing.
And also like, in the goals we add this like social emotional part that we really like. So in the goals they need to do behavior goals and like kindness goals. So it's not just goals based on academics. It's more based on like kind of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you just are really reaching the whole child, and you're also giving them some voice and choice in the whole matter, which I think is pretty important. And I think it's probably one thing that might be being neglected in the remote learning environment by some teachers. I don't know about you. I think that's something that's probably kind of more the norm than probably something that would be found in your guys' setup there. But how hard was this to set up to start with? Was it hard? Like, that's the thing I think people don't realize is they probably look at and they listen to what you guys have said and they go, oh my gosh, that sounds like a time, like, I don't even know, like that's a commitment beyond what I'm willing to do. And I don't know, as far as like once you figured out what to do, I suppose now it's probably totally rewarding for you.
It's rewarding, but I think
it was a disaster. The first week, it was super bad.
It was like we came up with this awesome idea and we were like on fire. Okay, we are going to rock this. This is going to save the world. Like this is going to be great since day one. And you have no idea. The first weeks we were like, I quit. Like seriously.
You're super excited about this new idea you had, and then you put it in place, and then Friday afternoon you go home and you're like, it didn't work at all. It was just so bad. So that's what happened, and I think it's a great question because sometimes when we see something that I think what we are doing is fun, it's great, right? So when we see something that is working and it's making a difference, we tend to think that it was just it happened just overnight, right? It just happened so fast, and oh my gosh, this student just learned how to do it in one night, right? And it wasn't like that. It was like a lot of weeks, a lot of months working on the same concepts, working on the same idea. And I don't know, I think part of it was that we didn't give up, because we saw our first 2 weeks and we were like, oh my goodness, so part of it was we didn't give up during that time where we struggled a lot. So we were like, all right, let's keep doing this. This is going to work. This is going to work. Next week didn't work, and we were like, all right, it's fine. Just keep doing it, and over time, it turned out very, very well.
And now we realize how worthy it was. The amount of hours and the amount of frustration that we had during those weeks And even like really simple things like write a goal. Like we put so many hours teaching them how to write a goal. You know, it looked like a really simple thing, but they are not used to doing that. So I think that that's the biggest challenge that we faced when we started this, is like students are not used to think. Students are not used to organize their time. They are not used to, they're always so someone else tell them what to do, right? So they're not used to make those kind of decisions. So it was kind of a nightmare at the beginning, and it took for us a long time. For example, at the beginning, we started really simple, like really, really simple for them. Over the time, we have kind of like complicate that more. For example, now we do group activities and part activities that are built into their playlist.
So they need to talk between them, and you know, like let's say, all right, we're gonna meet and do this during this time. You know, like Monday from, I don't know, 10 to 11, we are going to work together. So they need to coordinate their schedules. You know, so it's like getting it and giving them, you know, like giving them the opportunity of working on those like life skills that they were going to need in the future.
So I think that was a great question, because as Mari was saying, like I think sometimes people don't realize, or even us, we don't realize how hard things are. Sometimes we always see the good part of it, and we tend not to see the bad part of it, or the amount of work that was put for that. So
I think it's a good lesson in persistence, not just for students, but for everybody. Like that's obviously the kind of work ethic we want to see in our kids and our students. So I think the fact that you show that, and you show that you don't just drop something right away because it didn't work like smooth right off the bat, that's probably a good indicator that that's like just as a life lesson for you, for them, for everybody that's involved in the whole process.
Well, and just to reflect on what you guys were saying, like I guess it's important to me in the fact that you'll hear a lot of administration say like personalized learning is impossible. Like there's not enough time in the day to make that actually occur. And it's cool that you guys have this model that works, because it's the proof is in the pudding type of thing. You know, you have like this case study where you can go, this is where individualized learning was working. Like look to this model here. Like this is one way to do it. So that's really cool, because I've had this discussion with administrators before of, you know, catering the individual lessons and trying to get it to be more that approach, and I always get the resistance of that. There's not enough time in the day. You can't ask teachers to do that. It's not going to happen. Blah 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 blah. So it's cool to see that works.
Yeah, I think the question is like, are you willing to put this many hours, you know, in individualized learning? I think it's not. I mean, it is possible. It is possible, but it's, to be honest, like it is so many hours, you know. So I can get why a teacher would say, I don't have time for this. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But
and I guess it doesn't help out. I don't want to throw out like teacher pay teachers, but I feel like in some regards, things like that, where people go, oh, well, I'm just going to do this. And they go there and it's just like this one-stop shop type of thing. And so that like almost prevents them, or like just gives them an out as to why they wouldn't choose to do something like this. And I get it why they want to, because I mean, there's not enough time in the day as is, but I think the reward behind it should probably outweigh the initial work that you have to put into it.
Yeah, it is really rewarding, and also like we need to keep in mind that this is possible, or even like, for example, if you partner up with some people from your grade level, you can even like split the activities, right? Or even like make 5 levels of knowledge where your students can be, okay, like level beginning, math beginning, like second level, third level, fourth level, and just like do some activities for those levels, and just like try to kind of test your students to see where they are at. You don't need to individualize like or do 25, you know, playlist. Maybe you just do 5 in math, or like 5 in history, 5 in language arts, and just like see where your students are at. So there are many ways to do it. It's not just like, for me, like giving up is not an option or an excuse, you know? Like there are many ways to do it. If you want to do it, you always find a way to do it.
Totally. Well, I was gonna shift discussion a little bit. So, you know, I know right now there's a big battle going on between Microsoft Teams and people using Zoom or Google Hangouts or whatever their video conferencing platform is. And Microsoft is obviously putting a ton of development into Teams to you know, level the playing ground in certain aspects. Teams is my favorite, but as far as your guys' perspective, you know, what are some of those new features that you see coming up that you're looking forward to?
I think my favorite one will be like raise hand, you know, like when they can raise their hand to answer questions, you know, because right now, like when I'm teaching, you know, and I ask a question, I get like 10 different answers at the same time, right? So they unmute themselves and then just like a waterfall on you, like, you know, and then you're like, all right, I didn't understand anything. So you, like, I don't know, like Samsa, can you tell me, you know, because it's like, and I hate to do that. You know, I hate to say, all right, I don't know, like, Alberto, tell me, what do you think? You know, I don't want to do that. I want to have my students, I want to give my students the freedom to be able to raise their hand and participate. I don't want to force anyone to participate. You know what I mean? So I think that feature will be amazing.
Also, like kind of the attendance, taking attendance from the meeting will be huge because it was really hard for me to, okay, in the middle of my lesson, stop my lesson and go through all the people that are in the meeting and kind of take attendance of my lesson of the day. That was kind of hard. Also, like the end meeting one, it's really big because before we needed to wait until the last student like leave the meeting to like quickly end the meeting. In that way, no one could join and, you know, keep going. So I think
and then insights, you know, it's great. I love that one because you can see everything from the students.
Oh, like, yeah, that's the best. I love that one.
Yeah, the insights tab is really, it's huge.
And like I'm stalking you, you know, like you can't postpone anything. I know what you're doing at every minute, you know.
Big brother's watching.
Right? I know. Yeah.
So
do you guys feel like? Oh, go ahead.
No, you're fine, Tim.
I was just gonna say, have you guys had pretty good participation as far as your students go?
Yeah, we are very happy with that. I get normally like 20, because I have 23 students, 20, 21, normally 19. So that's a big participation.
Yeah, like I have like 90 to 98% of my students joining my calls every day. And the ones who don't join the call, they just watch the recording.
Yeah, same. So they've been very good at that, yeah.
I love how easy that is too, to just have like a recorded meeting and just be like, well, I understand if you weren't there, but like you don't have any excuse why you still can't get that information. So.
And then what we did for that to create a habit, you know, we were like, our first lessons were something like, all right, would you need to watch the call if you want to do this lesson, right?
The
assignment. So you are forcing them, you know, to watch the recording if they want to do the assignment, you know, so that's to create that.
So we kind of gave the instructions for the assignment in the call. So they were forced to watch the call to
Good idea.
I like it.
Yeah. Very smart. All right, you can ask your question then.
Okay, well, what I was going to say is, have you found any hacks, so to speak, with getting teams to do some of the stuff that you wanted to do that isn't necessarily there, like raising your hand or anything like that?
Yeah, for example, like raise their hand. We have this big problem in our district. So they block the chat for every student because we had some issues with bullying and everything.
And cheating during
tests. So they blocked the chat completely. So it was kind of a nightmare for us because if they wanted to tell us something, they needed to unmute their mic, you know? And then we couldn't use the chat for them to answer. So it was what Mario was saying, like just everyone talking at the same time. So what we did, we sent like a kind of a guide for the parents. So we put together a PDF with some instructions for parents, and we asked them to go through them with their students. For example, when you join the meeting, make sure you join mute. When you join the meeting, or something like those little things that parents can support at home and go through them with the students. And since day one, like we haven't had any problems because parents went through with the students through the list we asked them to
yeah.
I think this stresses the importance of digital citizenship and how much you need to like cover that at the beginning of the year, just so they know, like, if this ever were to happen again, then you wouldn't maybe have to cover a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and like it's not, I mean, like it's not very related with the question, but following that, I think like now we are realizing how important it is to have tutorials for parents as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not only for the students.
Very true.
For parents, for teachers, and for students. So I think that one really important thing or hack is like make sure parents know what's going on. Make sure parents know how to help their students if they are struggling. Make sure that you have the support of the parents of your students and they know the expectations and they know how to help them.
And I still think that even though you've provided a lot of that stuff, you can still expect to hear from things, even though you've probably already covered them. You can probably expect to get another question or two that builds on top of it, even though you know you've covered that material. So
yeah, it's like that question. It's been on the weekly sway the last 3 weeks, but it's all right. It's fine, you know. Thank you. That's always very kind. Thank you for the question.
Good to know you're reading the material, right?
Like, I'm not mad because you didn't read the sway that I put like 4 hours in it.
Yeah.
Just free time, right?
Yeah, I don't know about hacks. I don't think I have any hacks, to be honest.
I think that because the point is like our transition has been easy because we have been using this since the beginning of the year, you know, so our kids are really used to use Teams, OneNote, assignments, like pretty much everything.
Cool. Okay, this is totally not even.
Well, I have one hack. I have one tip. Sorry for interrupting you. I have 2 tips.
Go ahead.
And now, like, yeah, sorry.
Like,
it's it's like I really said it's great if teachers could create a channel for video calls and a channel for announcements. Why is that? Because when you if you're doing like live meetings, in the general channel, those like you end the meeting, you end the recording, and then the recording is posted right below of the call, right? So
that's a good idea.
Yeah, if the students keep chatting, keep testing, and keep writing stuff, that's gonna be buried. Like other students are not going to see that
or find the
recording. So what we've done is that we've created like a channel, and it's called video calls. And like they can't write there, they can't do anything. It's just for the video calls and for the lessons. So if a student, and those lessons are named, right? They have a name, like, for example, today was like a Tuesday. What day is today? 14th,
I don't know anymore.
Tuesday, 14th of April, science. So they can go to the video call and look for that lesson and play it. And another tab is announcements, because it happened the same. Like if I made an announcement and then my students like to do GIFs and fun stuff, we allow that. So like they keep talking about stupid stuff, and then other students couldn't find announcements. So
even what you can do, you can block every user to use from using the general channel, and just the admin can use the general channel and post their announcements. Is what I do. I use the general. I use just the general channel for announcements, and they cannot write. I revoke the privilege of the right for them to write in the channel. It's just for me to make announcements.
And I did the opposite way. They can talk in the general, but video calls and announcements they can't. So
very nice.
I like that.
Good call. Good call. Okay, so this has nothing to do with education, but like we're kind of curious. How are people in Utah handling the quarantine, and like, what have you guys been doing with some of your extra time that maybe you have on your hands?
It is hard because our spring allergies
are so bad
at this point. So we are kind of like avoiding going out. because people think we have the coronavirus. Not kidding. Like when we go to get some groceries or whatever, we start coughing because of our allergies, and everyone starts looking at us like
they stare at us like, oh my gosh, run, like run away. So like
maybe it gets you in line faster.
Yeah, like thank you.
So it's like for us, it's not a big difference because with our allergies, we were going to be in quarantine either way, so it hasn't been very bad. But people here in Utah, I don't know, like
hiking, outdoor stuff, outdoor activities are huge here in Utah. So people, I think, are using their time doing some outdoor hiking, or whatever. And we personally, we are trying to kind of keep going with our blog and everything now that we have time. It is something that we wanted to do since a long time ago, but we were always busy. So we started our blog like a month ago, trying to, like put different ideas that we have and everything. So
I love that. And then
this was a good excuse to start something that we wanted to do since a long time ago.
Then reading and all of that, like I know it sounds like an excuse, like I didn't have time to read or to work out and all of that. But it's kind of true, So now we are kind of working on a little bit, not every day, of course. I would be lying, but like reading and all of that. Yeah.
Very nice. Good. Well, Wyoming's had a little, like, I don't know. There was some report card a few weeks ago, right, Nick, that was talking about all of the grades that people were getting for staying in and all that stuff, and like Wyoming got an F because people were just not necessarily staying at home. It was like, don't tell us to stay home.
You guys, in some part of your state, you guys are so far away from each other. Like
I know. So, I think that's what everybody thinks is like, oh, there's not enough people that live here. We can still just pretty much keep it fairly normal, but like, I don't know.
Like next neighbor is like 3 miles away.
Maybe not that bad, but yeah, no, it's just been an interesting process for sure. And Nick, you got anything else you want to ask?
The only other thing I guess I wanted to touch on before we hang up with you guys is, you talked about with your personalized learning having a focus on the social emotional component. How are you guys maintaining like those soft skills as they're at home? Like, how are you keeping that engaged?
So I think that we talk about this a lot. Like at the beginning, we kind of forgot about it. We had a lot of things on our plate, and we kind of didn't think about social emotional skills or keep doing it. So we made a huge mistake, and we are trying to fix it right now. We are trying to spend more time with them, just chatting with them. So I have I call my students one-to-one every week. So I send out a sign-up genius to parents with the kind of office hours I have, and they sign up. So every 15 minutes, I call one of my students for 2-3 minutes. I talk to them, to their families, how they are doing, if they have any problems. Today was one of my students' birthday, and I called like the family, and he was telling me how their cousins kind of like did like a drive-through to their house, like waving and wishing happy birthday. So I don't know, like those tiny details, like for them to realize that you care, you still care, even if you are not with them right there, but you are, you think about them, you think about what they are doing. So
yeah, and I agree. I don't do the tutoring thing. I gave up. I was like too much, but he does it, and it's working very, very well. And for example, what he said, it's very true. At the beginning we were too focused on content. We were very focused on creating assignments or creating lessons that we forgot about the social emotional part, right? So right now we are just, for example, like we have a weekly call, and it's just to have fun. Like we don't teach a lesson, we don't talk about any content, just to play. We share, what we've been doing during the week. They tell me stuff, we laugh, we play, like that's very important for them, because we can't forget that they are at home. you know, and they can't see their friends. They can't play with them. You know, they can't play with other students in other classes, you know, during recess. They don't have that. So if we can provide them those opportunities to have fun, to laugh, to share a kind of like a fun moment with their friends and their teacher, like I think we can't, we need to give that chance to them. And then, for example, I do like this, like a quick polls on Teams, you know, for every call. Yeah, for every call, you know. So today was like a sunglasses call, right?
So the students vote on what they want to wear or what they want to do in the next call.
So it's funny
I like
because
that. Yeah.
I put on my glasses and then I changed my background to the beach, you know, background, and then I saw one of the.
You're not supposed to be traveling.
And then all of my students were like wearing their glasses, and I saw a parent taking a picture of, you know, the call. I don't know what she was thinking, you know, but I'm sure she thought like, holy crap, this teacher is with my child every day, you know, like this is not. Yeah, but then like tomorrow, I don't know what they are voting right now, but I think the options are like sunglasses, pajama, crazy hair, and hat, you know. So we do something fun every call, you know, because as I said, it's important for them to have fun and to build that relation with them.
I like that.
Good idea. Very, very good. So you guys mentioned your blog, eTwinz.com, correct?
Yes.
So what can somebody expect if they go visit your website? What are they going to find?
So right now we are just posting ourselves, you know, like some remote learning tips and we're focusing on remote learning right now. We share our scenarios that we talked about before, you know, like not during this, you know, like a call, well, you know what I mean. But different scenarios, you know, like a Nearpod or Teams, OneNote, how teachers can teach remotely using those tools.
Or even like tomorrow is going out a post that is like 5 tips for remote learning based on our experience or different conversations that we had with teachers, you know. So this is is the beginning, kind of the first step we want to do, but also we want to include people from the community. We want our blog to be a place where everyone can have a voice. Every teacher can share what they are doing. A place where just like people from all over the world can share their vision of education, can share best practices. So for that, we are putting together we have reached out some people from the Spanish speakers and English speakers, and we have decided kind of like a topic, and both are going to write about the same topic. For example, coding. Oh, cool. So we have a Spanish speaking person or like expert writing about coding, and English speaking expert writing about coding as well. So in that way, we can reach these both worlds because we are in between of both, you know. So
yeah, and you guys are on the list. So I think I think it was June or July. We don't know yet. So, but yeah.
So we are trying to, you know, be that place where we can kind of like put together our 2 worlds, like the Spanish-speaking community and English-speaking community, bring them together, a place where you can find best practices and all that.
Oh, that's really cool.
Very cool.
Everybody should go check out eTwinz.com, all you teachers. And you can go see what that's all about and see what these awesome guys have going on. They have a lot going on. I'm so impressed by all the stuff that you guys do. It's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
I wish you could like rub off some energy to some people, you know, like I feel like that's, and I think you guys do, but I'm like, man, we got to like bring you guys up here to Wyoming and share that energy.
The secret is coffee.
I've been drinking plenty of that. I don't know.
We're gonna ask
you how much I had today. Cool. Well, awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. And then I guess maybe we'll see. Are you guys going to ISTE still, even though it's been rescheduled?
I think we're going to ISTE. Yes.
There are. Oh yeah, we don't know yet because they postponed it and it's November, and I think let's say right now we are going. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. There are a couple of things.
I like that answer. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think we're in the same.
We need to figure out. for our future, let's stop there. And after we have figured out all of that, we will know if we are going for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But
we want to go.
We want to go.
Very cool. I know. I kind of want to go to California in November because of
Right.
It's Thanksgiving, right?
Right.
It's Thanksgiving. It's during Thanksgiving, I think.
It is like right at. It's that weekend that's part of Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you need to make sacrifices. You know, like for California, November. It's all right.
That's right.
I know, right? You just twist your arm a little bit.
I know.
Well, cool. All right. Well, we are going to wrap things up. Give these guys a follow. You guys want to give your Twitter handles in case people don't. I'm sure people already know, but just in case they don't.
Well, it's Mario Herraez, Herraez, and then Alberto Herraez, Herraez. You know, so those are
really easy.
Really easy. Yeah. And thank you so much for inviting us. Like, you guys know that we love to talk, so it's kind of like we were like, oh yeah, we're going.
That's not in the house, you know.
No, thank you for inviting us. So we had a blast during the call, and it was awesome to kind of catch up with you guys.
Yeah, you too.
All right, we'll just stop recording now, I guess. We'll cut that last part off.